In today's episode, we're exploring 5 devastating safari attacks that were captured on camera, from a principal's fatal safari mistake to a filmmaker's deadly walking safari encounter. Let's begin with the first story, where one woman's desire for the perfect shot cost her everything. The summer of August 15, 2017 brought perfect safari conditions to Kenya's Masai Mara. Golden grasslands stretched endlessly under the scorching sun. And for Helen Rodriguez, a 42-year-old high school principal from Phoenix, this wasn't just another vacation. This was the dream trip she and her husband had saved 3 years to afford. Helen and her husband were celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary, and he was determined to document every moment with his handheld video camera. They were the perfect couple for an African adventure, both nature enthusiasts who had spent months planning this once-in-a-lifetime safari experience. What her husband captured on camera that day would become evidence in a tragic investigation. Their experienced guide had positioned the vehicle about 30 meters from a pride of lions resting under an acacia tree. He'd been leading safaris for 15 years and knew the perfect distance for photography while maintaining safety. But even the most experienced guides can't control human behavior when the desire for the perfect shot takes over. African lions are apex predators that can weigh up to 420 pounds and reach speeds of 35 miles per hour. Male lions are particularly territorial and aggressive, especially when protecting their pride. Their powerful jaws deliver a bite force of over 650 pounds per square inch, while their razor-sharp claws can grow up to 3 inches long. Helen had been taking photos from her seated position when she noticed her husband struggling to get clear shots over the vehicle's side panels. Despite the guide's repeated warnings that passengers must remain seated at all times, Helen made a decision that would cost her everything. She slowly stood up, gripping the roll bar for support, positioning herself for what she believed would be the perfect anniversary photo. The guide immediately began speaking firmly, telling her to sit down, but Helen was already leaning over the vehicle's side, lost in the excitement of capturing the African wilderness behind her. Her husband kept filming, completely unaware that he was about to document the most horrific moment of his life. That's when everything went catastrophically wrong. The footage shows the big male lion suddenly looking up at Helen's movement and the sound of her shifting position. The massive cat rose to his feet, ears forward, alert to this unusual disturbance. Helen finally realized something was wrong and panicked, accidentally stepping backward and losing her footing on the vehicle's edge. She tumbled out of the safari vehicle, landing hard on the ground with a loud thud just meters from the now alert lion. The sudden noise and movement startled the lion, triggering its defensive instinct. He charged the remaining distance in seconds. The camera captured the moment of impact as the massive predator launched himself at Helen, but then the footage became pure chaos, shaking violently as her panicked husband forgot he was still recording. Through the disoriented footage, you can hear the guide desperately revving the engine and honking the horn. The guide followed proper protocol, slowly driving the vehicle toward the lion while making as much noise as possible to intimidate the predator. The loud commotion caused the lion to disengage and retreat toward his pride, but the damage was already done. A medical helicopter was dispatched from the nearest airstrip and arrived within 40 minutes. Helen was airlifted to Nairobi Hospital in critical condition, but despite emergency surgery to repair extensive injuries to her neck and shoulders, she succumbed to massive blood loss and trauma-related complications 6 hours after the attack. Investigation revealed that Helen had violated multiple safety protocols by standing in the vehicle and leaning outside its protective boundaries. The footage from her husband's camera provided clear evidence of the sequence of events and was reviewed by investigators as part of their incident analysis. The couple's anniversary celebration became a nightmare that would haunt the surviving husband forever. The footage he had intended as a happy memory became evidence in a tragic investigation that would be used in training programs for safari operators. But Helen's encounter with an African lion wasn't the only safari attack captured on camera by tourists seeking the perfect wildlife experience. March 22, 2015 brought perfect weather to South Africa's Kruger National Park. For a 31-year-old freelance filmmaker, Anthony Smith from Manchester, this was the opportunity that would make or break his career. He'd convinced his production company to fund this research trip, believing that ground-level footage would set their elephant documentary apart from anything else on the market. Anthony was passionate about his craft, having spent 2 years working on nature documentaries across Europe. But this was his first major assignment in Africa, and he carried professional-grade equipment worth over 15,000 pounds. His goal was simple but dangerous: capture intimate elephant behavior that could only be observed on foot, footage that would establish his reputation in the competitive world of wildlife cinematography. The walking safari group consisted of 8 tourists, 2 armed rangers, and a local tracker who knew the ancient elephant paths like the back of his hand. They'd been following fresh elephant tracks for over 2 hours, moving quietly through dense woodland where massive bulls often sought shade during the hottest part of the day. During the pre-dawn briefing, the lead ranger had been crystal clear about the protocols. Elephants pose the greatest danger to humans in the African wilderness. He'd specifically warned about the unpredictable nature of solitary bull elephants and stressed the absolute importance of maintaining silence and stillness when observing these giants. African elephants are the largest land mammals on Earth. Adult bulls can weigh up to 13,000 pounds and stand over 13 feet tall at the shoulder. They possess incredible intelligence and complex social structures, but solitary bulls can be extremely unpredictable and aggressive. Their hearing is so acute, they can detect vibrations through their feet from miles away, making them highly sensitive to any unusual sounds or movements. When an elephant decides you're a threat, you have seconds to live. The tracker spotted a massive bull elephant feeding approximately 50 meters ahead, partially hidden behind a cluster of trees. The lead ranger instructed everyone to remain absolutely silent and motionless while they observed the magnificent animal from what he considered a safe distance. Anthony had been recording continuously with his handheld camera, documenting the group's approach and the elephant's peaceful feeding behavior. But against the ranger's explicit instructions, he made a decision that would cost him his life. He began moving a few steps closer to get a better angle, driven by his ambition to capture footage that would make his career. That's when disaster struck with devastating speed. As he repositioned himself, his heavy camera equipment caught on a low branch. He stumbled, dropping his backup battery pack, which hit the ground with a loud thud that echoed through the quiet woodland like a gunshot. The massive elephant was startled by the sudden, unexpected noise echoing through the peaceful woodland. His enormous ears spread wide as he searched for the source of the disturbance. His ability to detect ground vibrations and capture low-frequency sound made him acutely aware of the threat. What happened next unfolded with terrifying speed that left everyone helpless to intervene. The elephant began his first charge, a thunderous bluff charge designed to intimidate and assess the threat level. His massive feet pounded the ground as he covered half the distance before stopping abruptly, trunk raised, testing the air. The rangers immediately began shouting commands, trying to move the group to safety while preparing their weapons. But when the group failed to retreat and the perceived threat remained, the bull elephant committed to a full charge, determined to eliminate what he now saw as a serious danger to his territory. Other tourists managed to capture limited footage of the chaotic moments as the attack began, the massive form thundering toward them, people screaming and scattering in pure terror. The camera was able to capture the initial attack of the elephant before the footage becomes completely disoriented as panic takes over, and you can hear the deafening sound of 6 tons of enraged elephants bearing down on the group. The bull elephant's massive body slammed into Anthony with devastating force. The impact knocked him unconscious instantly. The elephant's massive front foot came down on his chest and abdomen, causing catastrophic internal trauma before the animal moved away, satisfied that the threat had been eliminated. The rangers fired warning shots to drive the elephant back, but it was already too late. Anthony never regained consciousness, dying from massive internal injuries within moments of the attack. The investigation revealed that Anthony had violated fundamental walking safari protocols by leaving his designated position and making noise that attracted the elephant's attention. The limited footage captured by other group members was reviewed as evidence and led to the safari company implementing stricter guidelines, requiring tourists to sign additional waivers, acknowledging the extreme risks of ground-level wildlife encounters. Anthony's production company used the incident to develop enhanced safety training for crews working with dangerous wildlife, but his death served as a brutal reminder that in the African wilderness, one mistake can be your last. The other members of the walking safari group were so traumatized by witnessing the attack that several required psychological counseling upon returning home. But the tragedy during the walking safari wasn't the only time a camera captured the deadly consequences of underestimating Africa's giants. June 8, 2016 brought another spectacular evening to the luxury Chobe Safari Lodge in Botswana. For a 29-year-old software engineer, Ben Harold from Seattle, this elevated riverside deck represented everything he dreamed about during 2 years of saving for his solo African adventure. Ben was a successful tech worker who had built his passion for videography during weekend trips to the Pacific Northwest. He'd brought thousands of dollars worth of filming equipment to document his African adventure, and the lodge's marketing materials had specifically highlighted the safety and comfort of their hippo viewing experience, a deciding factor in his booking. The evening hippo viewing had become legendary among safari enthusiasts. The elevated wooden deck extended directly over the Chobe River, providing guests with an unobstructed view of the massive animals as they emerged from the water for their nightly feeding. The deck was positioned 15 feet above the river and had been used safely for years, though recent heavy rains had caused some minor structural stress to certain sections. Hippopotamuses are among Africa's most dangerous animals, responsible for more human deaths than any other large mammal on the continent. Adult bulls can weigh up to 4,000 pounds and reach speeds of 30 miles per hour on land. Their massive jaws can open to 150 degrees and deliver a bite force exceeding 1,800 pounds per square inch. Their canine teeth can grow up to 20 inches long and are razor sharp, capable of crushing bones like twigs. Ben had been filming the hippos for over an hour as they grazed along the riverbank directly below the deck. He operated his handheld video camera continuously, documenting the incredible wildlife spectacle unfolding beneath him. He felt completely secure on the elevated platform, believing that the height provided absolute protection from the massive animals below. As the evening progressed, he became increasingly ambitious with his filming, leaning far over the deck's railing to capture dramatic downward angles of the feeding hippos. The lodge staff had warned guests to remain seated and avoid sudden movements, but his enthusiasm for the perfect footage gradually overcame his caution. That's when everything went catastrophically wrong. Ben leaned even further over the railing, trying to get closer footage of the hippos below, when he overbalanced and the wooden railing gave way under the stress. The combination of his weight and awkward positioning caused the already weakened section to fail completely. He plummeted 15 feet into the river water, about 5 feet deep, directly beside a massive bull hippo, still gripping his waterproof camera as he hit the water with a tremendous splash. The disturbance in the water immediately caught the attention of the 3,500-pound bull hippo, but instead of attacking immediately, the massive animal did what hippos typically do when startled. He submerged, disappearing beneath the murky water while Ben struggled to orient himself in the river. For a terrifying moment, everything was silent, except for the man's panicked splashing as he tried to reach the riverbank. Lodge staff above began shouting emergency procedures, but they were powerless to help from their position 15 feet above. Then the hippo resurfaced with deadly intent. The massive animal had repositioned himself underwater and emerged directly beside the struggling man. The bull hippo's territorial instincts kicked in as he identified this thrashing intruder as a threat that needed to be eliminated immediately. His massive jaws opened wide, revealing those deadly canine teeth. The victim's camera captured the first few seconds of the attack, the hippo's massive jaws opening wide and lunging toward him, before the camera was released from his grip during the violent encounter, sinking beneath the surface and continuing to record nothing but dark, muddy water. The attack was swift and absolutely devastating. The hippo's jaws clamped down on Ben's torso with bone-crushing force, his massive canine teeth puncturing through the man's chest and abdomen. The bite force instantly fractured ribs and punctured vital organs as the hippo's powerful neck muscles crushed him violently like a heavy machinery. The attack lasted less than 30 seconds, but the hippo's incredible bite force and the man's injuries from the fall ensured that the encounter would be fatal. Ben died from massive internal trauma and blood loss before emergency medical personnel could reach the remote lodge location. The investigation revealed that recent heavy rains had caused some structural stress to that section of the deck. Though regular inspections had not identified it as an immediate safety concern, the official cause of death was listed as massive internal trauma and organ damage caused by hippo attack, compounded by injuries from the 15-foot fall. Ben's death led to immediate safety upgrades at the lodge, including reinforced railings and stricter guest safety protocols. The incident prompted enhanced structural inspection requirements at wildlife viewing facilities throughout Botswana, ensuring that the tragedy would lead to improved safety measures for future visitors. But the lodge tragedy wasn't the only time infrastructure failure led to a deadly wildlife encounter captured on camera. October 12, 2014 was the perfect conditions for South Africa's exclusive Sabi Sands Game Reserve. For a 38-year-old semi-professional photographer, Sarah Jane from Dublin, this specialized photo hide program represented the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to capture intimate leopard behavior that would establish her reputation among the world's top wildlife photographers. Sarah had been building her portfolio for nature magazines for over 8 years, specializing in wildlife subjects that she sold to publications. This South African assignment represented her most ambitious project yet, and she'd paid premium rates for what she believed would be the safest way to photograph one of Africa's most secretive predators. The hide was equipped with professional camera mounts and had been used safely by hundreds of photographers over the past decade. Constructed of natural materials and positioned just 10 meters from a waterhole, it provided unprecedented close-up opportunities while remaining completely concealed from wildlife. The reserve required all photographers to maintain radio contact with the main lodge, checking in every hour for safety purposes. She had also placed a video camera on a tripod outside the hide, positioned to film her photography session and capture the leopard's behavior from a different angle. The external camera would provide valuable footage of her work process and create a comprehensive documentary of her experience. African leopards are solitary, nocturnal predators that can weigh up to 200 pounds and are considered pound for pound the strongest of the big cats. They are exceptional climbers with incredible stealth and speed, able to accelerate from 0 to 36 miles per hour in seconds. Their bite force exceeds 400 pounds per square inch, while their retractable claws can grow up to 2 inches long and are razor-sharp for gripping prey. A magnificent male leopard had approached the waterhole just as she'd hoped, moving with the fluid grace that made these cats such compelling photographic subjects. She began capturing frame after frame as the leopard drank, while her external video camera continued filming the entire encounter. The leopard finished drinking and began moving around the waterhole, his keen senses detecting something unusual about the photography hide. Male leopards are extremely territorial and investigate any changes in their environment with suspicious aggression. Sarah continued shooting as the leopard moved around the area, but suddenly the big cat disappeared from her view, vanishing into the dense vegetation with the silent stealth that made leopards such effective hunters. She waited patiently for several minutes, hoping the leopard would reappear for more shots. When her scheduled radio check-in time arrived, she made a decision that would cost her everything. She ignored the protocol, so focused on the potential for the perfect shot that she didn't want to risk the radio static scaring away the leopard if it returned. The lodge staff tried to reach her twice more over the next hour, but she had turned her radio volume down to avoid any noise. Concerned that her external video camera might have stopped recording or shifted position, Sarah made the fatal decision to leave the safety of the hide to check her equipment. She had been assured that the hide was completely safe and that leopards typically moved away from the area once they finished drinking. She quietly opened the hide's entrance and stepped outside to adjust her video camera, which appeared to have shifted slightly on its tripod. She was focused entirely on repositioning the camera when the leopard, who had been resting in nearby vegetation, detected her scent and movement through his acute senses. The 180-pound leopard launched his attack from less than 10 feet away, using his natural ambush hunting instincts to strike with explosive force. Sarah had no warning as the big cat's powerful legs propelled him through the air, claws extended and jaws open wide. The leopard's claws raked across her back and shoulders, opening deep gashes while his powerful jaws sought purchase on her neck. Her screams echoed across the waterhole, but she was alone and miles from any assistance. The attack was swift and methodical, the leopard's natural hunting instincts driving him to eliminate this perceived threat to his territory. Sarah's movements ceased within seconds as the leopard's swift and methodical assault overwhelmed her system. The big cat remained with her body for several minutes, his territorial instincts satisfied, before disappearing into the gathering darkness. When Sarah failed to respond to multiple radio calls, lodge staff immediately dispatched a search team. They discovered her remains the following morning. Her external video camera had captured the initial moments when she left the hide, but the footage became chaotic once the attack began, showing only brief glimpses of movement before the camera was knocked over. The investigation revealed that Sarah had violated safety protocols by leaving the hide during an active leopard encounter and ignoring mandatory radio check-ins. Her death led to immediate safety upgrades at photography hides throughout the reserve, including mandatory GPS tracking devices and automatic emergency alerts when radio protocols are violated. Sarah's tragic end became part of enhanced safety training programs, showing both the stealth capabilities of these apex predators and the deadly consequences of breaking established safety protocols. Her family used the investigation findings to advocate for stricter safety measures at wildlife photography facilities across Africa. Her camera equipment, found scattered around the waterhole, contained over 200 images from that final session, a portfolio that would never be completed. But the photography hide tragedy wasn't the only time a camera captured the fatal results of inadequate safety protocols during close wildlife encounters. On July 4, 2013, The weather was perfect for Tanzania's Serengeti National Park. For a successful 45-year-old accountant, Jack White, from San Francisco, celebrating Independence Day with a traditional African bush dinner seemed like the perfect way to mark both the holiday and his recent promotion. He sat around the campfire with his wife and their 2 teenage children, Kevin and Michelle, enjoying traditional Maasai dancing and storytelling under the brilliant African stars. This family vacation represented both a celebration and a long-awaited opportunity to experience African wildlife together. They were the perfect American family living their dream safari adventure, completely unaware that their 4th of July celebration was about to become a nightmare they would never forget. Kevin had been documenting their entire safari experience with the family's new digital video camera, and the bush dinner provided the perfect opportunity to capture the cultural aspects of their African adventure. The camp staff had assured all guests that the dinner location was completely secure, surrounded by electric fencing and monitored by armed guards throughout the evening. The dinner site was positioned in a clearing approximately 2 kilometers from the main camp, chosen specifically because it offered guests an authentic bush experience while remaining within the camp's security perimeter. The area had been used safely for bush dinners for over 5 years, with multiple redundant safety systems in place. The evening had been proceeding perfectly when disaster struck without warning. A section of the electric fence had malfunctioned earlier in the day due to a power surge, though the backup systems had failed to alert maintenance staff. Through this compromised section, a massive Cape buffalo bull entered the dinner area, apparently attracted by the cooking smells and human activity. Cape buffalo are considered one of Africa's Big 5 most dangerous animals. Adult bulls can weigh up to 1,900 pounds and possess a temperament that makes them extremely unpredictable and aggressive. They have excellent memories and are known to hold grudges, sometimes tracking threats for extended periods. Their massive horns can span up to 6 feet across and are fused at the base to form a solid shield. Cape buffalo are responsible for more hunter and tourist deaths in Africa than any other species except hippos. The camp staff immediately began emergency procedures, instructing all guests to remain seated and motionless while they attempted to encourage the buffalo to leave peacefully. The armed guards took defensive positions, but were reluctant to use lethal force unless absolutely necessary, as gunfire could attract other dangerous animals and create additional chaos. The buffalo appeared calm but alert as he investigated the dinner setup, his massive bulk moving slowly through the camp chairs and tables while guests sat frozen in absolute terror. Kevin continued filming, his camera capturing the tense standoff as everyone held their breath, praying the massive animal would simply leave. That's when everything went catastrophically wrong. Against all instructions from camp staff, the jack suddenly stood up from his chair and began waving his arms at the buffalo, shouting at the massive animal to go away. Kevin's camera captured his jack's sudden movement as he stepped away from the safety of the dinner group, making the worst possible decision in the worst possible moment. The Cape buffalo had been tolerating the human presence until this moment. The jack's sudden movement and aggressive posturing triggered the animal's defensive instincts. The massive animal lowered his head, displaying his formidable horns as he identified the man as a direct threat that needed to be eliminated. The guards immediately fired warning shots into the air, but the buffalo had already committed to his charge. The massive animal thundered across the clearing with explosive speed, his hooves pounding the ground as he covered the distance in seconds. Kevin's camera shakes violently as panic overtakes him, the footage becoming chaotic and completely disoriented. Through the shaking footage, you can hear his jack's terrified screams and the thunderous sound of the buffalo's charge, but the visual becomes a blur of movement and confusion as Kevin instinctively moves to protect himself and his family. The guards fired additional shots, but the buffalo's momentum carried him forward with unstoppable force. The massive animal struck the jack with devastating impact, his horns catching the man in the chest and knocking him to the ground before trampling him with his massive hooves. More gunfire finally drove the buffalo away, and the massive animal retreated into the darkness beyond the camp perimeter. Emergency medical personnel arrived within an hour, but the jack's injuries were too severe. He died from massive internal trauma and organ failure during the helicopter evacuation to Arusha. The investigation revealed that the jack had violated all safety protocols by confronting the buffalo directly, while also uncovering the fence malfunction that had allowed the animal to enter the secure area. Kevin's footage, though chaotic and disoriented during the actual attack, provided clear evidence of the events leading up to the tragedy. The jack's death led to enhanced security measures at bush dinner locations, including redundant fence monitoring systems and stricter protocols for handling dangerous animal encounters. The family returned to San Francisco traumatized by the loss, and the incident became a sobering reminder of why safety instructions must always be followed during African wildlife encounters. The footage Kevin had captured became part of enhanced safety training, showing how quickly a peaceful wildlife encounter can turn deadly when protocols are ignored. The family's 4th of July celebration, meant to be a joyous milestone in their lives, instead became a date they would forever associate with unimaginable loss. Thanks for watching. Want to watch more? Click on your screen now.